When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello! Welcome to this episode of Manifest It Now. I'm here with Cassie Parks, and Elle Russ is joining us again for our third episode, and we're so excited to have you here, Elle. Thank you for being here.
You guys are two of my favorites. Like I've said on every episode, I religiously listen to your podcast every week, and it's only one of like 4 or 5 podcasts I even listen to. And I am a podcaster, so that says a lot. And I'm just such a fan, and also have benefited from, private coaching with you, Ginny, and Cassie's been amazing and guiding me in some things. So I value you as friends, but also as coaches.
It's so amazing. Sometimes, like, even though I love and obviously am very passionate about what we teach, sometimes I think it's crazy that people listen every week. I'm tired of our voices.
Well, it's weird, especially me. Like, I host 2 podcasts, right? I work all the time. So that's why I'm saying this means a lot, guys, because I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's only about 4 of them, and one of them is yours, and so that's one I just don't miss. I don't think I've missed one episode in all of these years.
Yay, that's awesome.
Because I get to feel like I'm hanging out with you guys for like 20 minutes during,
Yeah, we are. What's exciting, Elle?
Well, aside from the programs, I think I mentioned before, I'm excited about summer. I'm excited about being out of this pandemic. I'm excited about, these courses I've created. I have a confidence course and the writing course, of course, which we're talking about. But yeah, I'm exciting about, again, the unfolding of things and, just general LOA. And I'm just looking forward to being back in the world and being able to travel and, enjoy life again. This is really just really nice.
Awesome.
Amazing.
I'm excited about travel too. That's what I'm excited about.
That's what I was just going to say.
Of course. I'm taking a trip up to Maine, up in Portland, and I've never been there. I'm super excited, and I'm going to get to connect with a few of my clients that I've been with for years, a year, I'm not sure, and never in person met them. So it's so cool.
Love
That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah. Part of my ultimate dream life is when I'm traveling around the world is meeting clients as I go all around the world. That feels so enriching to my life, so fulfilling.
Oh yes, that's amazing.
What travel are you excited about, Cass?
California. I talked a couple episodes about seeing my family. We're going to Hawaii in a couple months. And so, yes.
That's my favorite place. I just had a crazy reaction in my face. No one could see it, but I love Hawaii.
I do know that about you. Yes, I love Hawaii. And so it's going to be fun to take my family we're going to Kauai, which is my favorite island. See, I know. And I get to show them one of my all-time favorite places on this planet. So I'm excited about that.
I spent a month in Kauai once, and it was the best thing. Alone, didn't know anyone on the island, just showed up. And it was I can't wait to do it again.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. Amazing. All right. Well, I'm sure we could tangent into Hawaii at this moment, but we are going to talk more about writing today and LOA. And so let's see. All right. I love this. So, Elle, what's your favorite LOA story about something that you have written?
I have so many because every single one of them is LOA, but a couple of fun ones was, and this is an LOA. So I had written a couple of sitcoms with one of my comedy writing buddies. And I just was we're writing this stuff, we're getting it done. How do we put it out there? Thinking about agents or people to look at it. And I just did an LOA, 10-minute vibe, sort of intention session kind of on it. Forgot about it. And it was a few days later, I went hiking by myself. And as I was hiking, I saw this older woman, grandma, type, with 2 dogs. And she was, I don't know, maybe she was 75 years old or something like that. And I pet her dogs and then we just started hiking up the trail together because we're the only people there. And I'm just thinking, oh, what a sweet, grandma. And she says, what do you do? And at the time, I because I was specifically writing comedy. Instead of saying writer, I said, I'm a comedy writer. And she stopped in her tracks and looked at me. She goes, oh my God, I'm looking for a comedy writer. And I remember being like, what the heck is like, what is she? And at first I thought, what is she off her rocker? Like again, judging the book by its cover, turns out she's like a multiple Academy Award winning producer. And I had no idea. And she was like, we've been looking to write this thing and da-da-da. Anyway, ended up having a great meeting with my writing partner and them. And the whole experience, actually part of it is in my second book, Confident as Fuck. But she, so that was really interesting. Again, out of nowhere, didn't try, didn't go looking. She showed up on a freaking hiking trail in a package. I would have never guessed an Academy Award winning. I don't know what I thought they looked like, but I guess I just assumed grandma who was retired and that's all she did. That was literally
her award around.
Right.
That's how you know.
And then the other one was I went to a film festival, an underwater film festival in Savannah, Georgia, many, many years ago. And I had only written comedy up until this point. And I'm speaking with a woman who's an underwater filmmaker. And she was asking me what I did. I said, I'm a writer. And she goes, oh, I'm looking for a writer. Have you ever written a documentary? And I said, no, but I'm sure I'm confident that I could do it. Love to jump in on that. And by the way, had no idea at all how the hell to write a document. But I figured I had that thought of like, I've written it, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Well, okay. So here's the thing with that. So that actually took her 10 years to make. As a lot of documentary films, it's not like necessarily an easy, quick process. It took her 10 years to make. I will say this though, on her LOA, she always used to say, documentaries take 10 years to make. And I thought, well, then it's going to take you frickin' 10 years. Okay. And it did. So anyway, we get to the 10 years. It won the best documentary film festival award at the La Femme Film Festival in LA. I got to actually see a movie I wrote on the screen. I have the movie poster with my name on it. Getting goosebumps right now. So amazing. Never got paid for that. If they make money, I'll get paid something, but it wasn't about that at the time. I was inspired by the story, written, directed sort of by women, edited by a woman about badass women. The content, it's called Headhunt Revisited. You can go to headhuntrevisited.com. You can watch it online. Really fascinating documentary. It has Lauren Hutton attached to it. She's the voiceover for it. So I'm like getting to write lines that Lauren Hutton, is voicing. An amazing experience, also great street cred for the diversity of my writing profile. And just an amazing experience on how to chess piece that together. And again, it all came from just out of nowhere, know-how, just in that vibration of being a writer. And again, so twice I've had amazing opportunities come up seemingly out of nowhere from places you wouldn't expect. And one of those, especially the documentary, turned into an incredible end result.
That is so
amazing.
Cool. I
love that.
What about you, Cass? What's one of your favorite stories?
So it's a toss-up, but there's two. So the first one is writing, Manifest 10,000. And that is actually how I connected with Elle. Like I
manifested money in that course. Just wanted to say it was like 100 or 3,000, by the way, in that time. Yeah. So
yeah. And so she found it on Amazon. And again, by that point, going back to a couple episodes ago where I was writing to push and get these things, I wrote that because I knew this stuff. I loved it. It was the next book I knew I needed to write. And from that, Elle found me on Amazon, which is awesome because we have this great connection. We get to share Elle with our listeners. I've got to go on the beach in Malibu with Mel, I keep combining Malibu and Elle. I don't know why, but it's like
Malibu. I'm
yeah. But yeah, I get to go, hiking on the beach in Malibu with Elle, and just so many fun things that have ripple LOA effects from that. And again, just putting that book out there and having it be attracted and the path unfolds. So that's one. The second one is really that my workshop, like the main thing that I do other than teach money, the stepping into the future self, really came out of writing a book. And that I know was why I was inspired to write that book, so that I could be so immersed for 3 days in what I was teaching and I could see how it played out. And that is literally how the workshop came to be.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I love that. All right. We've talked a lot about, again, our reasons don't matter, but I still think this is a fun question because you got to find your own reason that you should write. So Jen, what do you think are reasons that people should write?
Yeah, I was thinking about this and I'm like, should. I'm like,
I know I couldn't think of a different word. I deleted it 3 times, but I'm like, no, like sometimes should is okay. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So if I'm going to answer that, then it's such a powerful way to express. So I think like in every single person's purpose on earth is to express what's within them. And I think very often that can come out through writing. So that would be my core one reason why someone should write. Also, I think it's a great way, even if there's no reason there's no reason you're writing other than to write. Like, it's just like to get out, just to like get words out of your head almost. So sometimes it's a great tool. I used to use this when I was younger to learn how I was feeling. It's a great self-awareness tool. Like, oh, you're feeling this and you get writing. It's almost just like you do, I'm sure maybe Elle, you teach this at some point of like just getting it all out. And then you find things out as it's on paper. And my third thing, the reason why is like it does neurologically, right? When you're writing things, there's power and things happening in your mind, in your own neural pathways that helps being a manifester, period. So those are my main.
Yeah. I love it. Elle, how about you? What are the reasons you believe people should write?
I agree with all of that. So, I mean, so strongly. Because you're compelled to share something, right? You know, just sort of like Ginny said, you're compelled to. If people are like, do you think I should be a writer? No, not if you're asking it that way. You're clearly not compelled to, you know. But most of the people that, you know, inquire about my writing program or come to me, it's like because they've had this idea for a while, damn it. It's been simmering in there and they just haven't done it. You know what I mean? And the second reason, and again, maybe this is a sub reason and not the only reason, but if you're planning and you want to be someone who is speaking about this topic or educating, teaching, coaching people on it, it's not only a great tool for your clients, even if you just use it as an ebook or something, maybe you just wrote a course that you wanted to write, but also it is a way to get street credit in this world. People are definitely more likely to interview you when you have a book. It's not the reason to do it because you still have to come on and have something to say, so that's not going to work out. But at the end of the day, that is true. I will say that now I find writing very easy. I know that's different for a lot of people. There's people that I know who wrote a book and they're like, never again. I'm glad I did it, but I'll never again do that. That's okay. But you know what? At least they tried and did it. And it's not sticking in their craw for 20 years that they never did it. They did it, found out they didn't like it. It's done. They're still happy they did it. They move on. It's like anything else. I thought I wanted to compete in stand-up paddle competitions and I would been in my mind for years. I finally did one. And 2 minutes into it, I was like, this sucks, never doing it again. But I'm so glad I tried it because now at least I know it's not in the, you know, it's not like, oh, I really got to do that thing. So if you're compelled to write something, you got to get it out. And I agree with Ginny, even if it's for yourself, for the practice of it. And like you guys probably coached for people to write down goals or write down their future self. There is that implementation and power of like imprinting it into the subconscious when you are writing it. And so that definitely, like you said, Ginny, like breeds more inspiration and more gain from that, more Ginny gain from that. You know?
Yeah.
What about you, Cass? Why do you think people should write?
I mean, scripting aside of, I think there's a whole list of why, but we're talking about like writing and books. I think the 2 reasons are because you want to and it feels good. Yeah. You know, like if you want to do it,
any more than that.
No more. Yeah. Right. For me, yeah. If you want it, do it. And if you're inspired and it feels really good, like, yes, you should write. Because it's fun.
Yeah. And that's the trick. The trick is to stay in that, let that experience be enough.
Yes.
Because you want it because it's fun. That's enough. That's like the best reason ever.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And when you stay in that, as we've proven during this interview series, you will get other things as a byproduct. You don't have to go search those things. Like if you stay in that, I'm inspired, this feels good, I'm getting it done because I want to get it done, other things will flow to you because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel in general, and I say this in my second book, The universe delivers you prizes when you do a pro you move. And a pro you move is actually going after something you want inside you just haven't done yet. That's a pro you move. It's a move you're taking. And when you do that, those steps unfold. You get prizes along the way. That's what I believe, and that's how it is in my experience. I choose to believe that. And so again, you put one foot forward, you put one thing forward, the universe will make a way.
Absolutely.
Pro you. I love it.
I know, me too. I love it. Elle, do you ever experience fear when you're writing?
Zero. However, I do feel that, and it doesn't really happen with me anymore, but I think the people's fear in writing is that they edit and judge themselves along the way, which is the first thing I talk to everyone about, if they're coaching with me privately on writing, or will do so in this course. It's really, you have to keep returning to the desire. You have to keep going back to that, because you will get tripped of like, well, how will this, or how will I sell it? Or you're getting into the cursed house, and the end result is like a linear thing, right? And that's not, you can focus on the end result, that's great, but it's that how stuff, as you know, that gets everyone tripped up. So you just have to get out of that. The problem with is a lot of people edit themselves along the way. They write one sentence, then they spend a freaking hour on that sentence. The way, and we just talked about, you get it all out, you refine it later. Get it out, get it done, get the stuff out. Doesn't matter how you say it. You guys, I get corrected on grammar all the time. I'm terrible. I have to get an editor. You don't need to have perfect grammar and, mastery of the English language. If you can speak your ideas, you've got it. And so I think that that's the thing that stifles people. It's really, that's the fear, or the fear in, well, what will people think of me? People will judge me. And again, that's all, again, caring about what other people think of you, which goes back to my second book, Confident as F-U-C-K, which is, you got to get confident as F so that you don't care about that. Like, that's not your problem.
What was that, Jen?
You're allowed to swear on here, Elle. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they're editing.
Yeah.
It's usually about other things that have nothing to do with the task at hand. It's
Mhm.
about what other people might think of them if they look in and find out that they're writing something. And you can eliminate all of that noise, if you're coached properly.
Absolutely. Jenny, did you have fear when you were writing?
I wouldn't say I had fear when I was writing at all, because I was in inspiration. So those two are like very different. And I would say, yeah, I had some of the stuff Elle was talking about around it, but never when I was writing.
Mhm.
That always was very clear. Maybe throughout, after the writing was done, there was other things along, in the process that obviously I was aware of and I worked through, but it wasn't fear in the writing. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. You actually helped clarify that for me. Like because I'm like, I don't think that I wasn't ever not afraid when I was writing, but when I was writing, I was not, because that's my zone, right? I'm writing what I know, and I love this conversation, because I think what listeners can take away is it's the getting in, it's the getting it done, which is part of been a theme. That is where the magic comes, that juice, because you're in it. And then you can process the other fears, but you get in it and get in that magic space and enjoy it. And then you can move through the fears as you move on, but you get to enjoy that yumminess, as Elle calls it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have people, because I'm a public speaker. So if I, let's say, have to go speak in front of a crowd, or like I have before, and people go, do you get nervous? I perform so much on stage that it's less of that, but nerves do come up. Okay, there's moments, and you feel the heart rate going, the audience is there, you're about to go. And in those moments, it's just, again, that's ego, that's fears and doubts showing up for a second. And because of all the things we practice and preach, I sit there and say to myself, and you can do this if you're having the same thing with writing, which is, I wanted this, like, you wanted this, Elle. You wanted this life. You agreed to this. Like, you got this. What are you doing? So if you're having any of those moments and you're tripped up, you're like, I got this. Who cares? We're not going to focus on where it's going. Let's focus on getting it out, and we can see how it unfolds later. You don't even know what you're going to do with it. Who knows? To try to think about, am I going to get a publisher or not? Or will people buy my book? Last thought, right? It's like, that's not even something you should consider. So those are the things that you have to always kind of get back to, that desire, right? The reason for, the being compelled to, versus the logistics of it,
Right. Absolutely.
One of the things that makes me think of, one of the things I like to say to myself in those moments is like, feel the fear and do it anyways, like move through it.
Yeah.
that I have had so many moments in my life where I felt the fear. It's not the thinking fear. It's like that fast heart, like, oh my gosh, fear. And I'm like, okay, just keep going. Like,
Right.
okay, I see you, and keep going.
Yes, I love that. Amazing. Any final thoughts? Ginny, what are your final thoughts on writing and LOA and anything?
I mean, this one of my most favorite things to share always is, if it's inside of you, listen and honor that, and start. If start, that will lead you to the next thing. And it might be Elle's program.
That's right. Yeah. Which are that's I was going to ask this question. I'm going to ask it now. So who is perfect for your program? Like, if someone's listening, how do they know that is for me?
You just need an idea, and it doesn't have to be even totally fleshed out at all. You just need an idea for something you are compelled to share, whether it is articles, blog posts. Maybe you want to start a new website. You want to have like 10 blog posts together. Maybe you want to write a speech. Maybe you want to write a book or a TV script. It doesn't really matter what the thing is, but that it's been it's been nagging at you. You keep thinking about it. You keep rolling over the details of your mind. The difference between all of us on this podcast and the people out there who haven't done it is just that we did it. We actually did it. And so that's the point of knock it out, get it done. And the 8-week program starts July 12th. You can go to ellruss.com, click on the writing program tab, and then I will be running them, throughout the year. So if for some reason you missed this one, you can still sign up for like possibly the next one. But this is, that's really the only difference, right? We got it done. We did it. Yeah. We didn't allow it to stay. And again, the prizes you get from that for pursuing your dreams, right? For taking inspired action to actually do something that's been bugging you in your head all this time, and you keep going it over. Most of the people I talk to, they're like, well, I've had this idea for like a couple of years now, sometimes 5 years. And you're like, okay, it's time. So what you don't need to have a mastery of grammar and English language. You don't need to be some lit aficionado. You just need an idea you want to write that you're compelled to, because you got to get it out.
Awesome. I love that. And they go to ellruss.com to figure that out, or to sign up.
Yep. And there's just a tab that says writing program. And then I also have a confidence course as well, coming up in the fall. But yeah, the writing one is just an intensive 8-week, 10 participants max. And I'm going to be just holding your hand the entire way, as sort of like a co-writer if you wanted and needed to, not getting credit for it, but just being there as someone to really be immersed in it with you. And that's the difference between my program and, let's say, others, where you're just going to go through modules and talk elusively and theoretically about writing. That's not how you get it done. No, I've never met anyone who's ever got anything done by just taking one. It's like, you need someone who's talking to you, holding you accountable, and brainstorming with you.
Yeah, Cass and I both are big supporters of that.
Yes.
It's fun for me. Like, I love this stuff so much that, like, I love the getting into it with people, asking them questions, pulling out, right? Like you do as coaches with everything you do. You're pulling out things they hadn't thought of. You're sparking inspiration. Sometimes you just need another person on the outside who's able to kind of do that. That's why we all have coached with other people, even though we're coaches. This is why we coach. So yeah.
Amazing. I love it. And so why do you think, any last minute thoughts on writing?
For me?
Yeah. That could be it, but I wanted to hear if there was sort of a wrap up.
This is the thing that trips people up. So, I have like a permanent hand-arm disability that you can't see. So I have to really manage my use of like typing, because that kind of exacerbates it. So I would say this: you don't need to actually learn how to write. If you can speak something, you can write. If you can say it, if you can talk into your QuickTime player on your audio thing for 30 minutes about any topic, that's 5,000 words, and a book is 50,000. You got it. I do that a lot. I talk, I transcribe, and then I sit down with my hands and do the refining stuff we're talking about. So even if you're hesitant, like, I'm at the computer, I'm not a fast typer. Can you talk? You got no excuses, because if you can talk, you can write.
Can you talk?
I love it. And I will wrap up with my thought, which is writing helps you become, and we all want to become more of who we want to be. So if you feel pulled to write.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Elle. It's been amazing.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I know our listeners are loving this. Thank you. And thank you all for listening.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Go be awesome.
Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.